Hi everybody tuning in. This is our live Q&A session. I'm just trying to work out how to pin comments, but apparently I can't do that anymore. This week's Q&A is with Danni. I'm just going to add her in now. Danni Washington. Danni's a TV host and science communicator. Hi everybody tuning in. Hiya!
Hello, hi.
Can you hear me all right?
I can, yes, loud and clear. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. Just currently at home with my plants, just having a good day, working, of course, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm in Maputo at the moment, so I'm not in our usually I'd be in a straw hut talking to you from the beach, but I'm down in the main city. So
Oh, wow. Very
yeah,
nice.
having a bit of luxury. My shower was really, really nice. It was proper hot water and really powerful, which I
Uh,
missed for the last
Sounds like
8 months.
heaven.
So, yeah, it was good. Okay, so for people tuning in, do you want to just introduce yourself and who you are and what you do?
Absolutely, yeah. So first of all, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this live. I really appreciate it. My name is Danni Washington, and I am a science communicator and ocean advocate, and also a mermaid. So I'm originally from Miami, Florida, and that's where I was born and raised. Fell in love with the ocean from a very young age. I mean, it was very easy to do that because our beaches are gorgeous in Florida. But quickly learned that I wanted to be more of a face and a voice to talk about why our oceans are so important. And I did that after receiving my Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Miami. And I knew that I had a knack for especially reaching young people, K through 12 audiences, and creating content and telling stories about science. That's really what my passion is. And so fast forward to now, I'm 33 years old, and I've been working in science communications for the last 10 years as a television host and a podcast host, and also the co-founder of a nonprofit in Miami called Big Blue and You, which we focus on inspiring young people, the youth, about ocean conservation using art, science, and media.
Awesome. Wow. Pretty impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you on here. I'm just gonna quickly intro Love the Oceans for people who are tuning in who might not know what we are and what we do.
For sure.
So we are a marine conservation organisation. We're based in Mozambique, and that's where I'm talking to you from. Hopefully the internet will hold up. I think it will. It's been pretty good today.
Yeah.
And our mission is to establish a marine protected area in our area in Jangamo, which is a southern province in Mozambique. So we do a lot of different areas of research and community outreach. We do fisheries research, humpback whales, coral reefs, ocean trash, marine megafauna, and then we teach swimming and basic marine resource management too. But COVID has obviously meant that things have changed a lot this year. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, lockdown meant that we couldn't do any of our research. So we started doing these online sessions to build a network of amazing conservationists and meet loads of like-minded people. And obviously, our audience can interact and ask questions and things like that too. So thank you so much for joining today. Really appreciate it.
No doubt.
It's so nice to have you on. So where are you at the moment?
At the moment, I'm actually in California. This is where I
Okay.
go. It's one of my home bases, and I love it out here. It's beautiful. The weather's awesome. The mountains, definitely different than Florida.
Yeah. Still a beautiful area though. Okay, cool. So for people that are watching at the moment, if you have questions for Danni, you can just chuck them in the comments section at the bottom. I'm actually gonna see if I can. No, my phone's still being weird. Usually I pin a comment just saying what's going on, but for some reason it won't work today. But
It's all good.
anyone tuning in, yeah, technology. Anyone tuning in, feel free to drop questions in the comments box or in there's now like a little question bubble that people can drop questions into, and we'll do our best to get to them. But we've actually been sent through a bunch of questions beforehand as well. So if you're happy with it, we can just jump straight in.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, so start off gently. Why did you choose to work in STEM?
STEM is interesting to me because it encompasses so many different disciplines of, learning about our world, essentially, science, technology, engineering, and maths. I've always believed that it should have been STEAM from the jump, art should have been included, because I think it requires a creative mind in order
Yeah,
to
definitely.
understand a lot of these topics. And so for me, the reason why I decided to work in STEM, in the STEM arena, was because I've always just had a natural curiosity for STEM fields. Maybe with the exception of math. Math is not my favorite, but I've had to learn it because of the type of work that I've done in the past. But it's necessary, and I love talking about it. I love connecting people with these professionals that work in the different disciplines and telling their stories, because I think it's been so underrated for too long. And where we are in the world, whether it's dealing with COVID or dealing with, racial injustice or environmental injustice, we need STEM fields in order to help us come up with the right solutions that will actually help us overcome all of these challenges. Without the brilliant minds in science, we are not going to move forward as a human race. So we need to really invest our time, our energy, our resources into lifting up the next generation of STEM leaders, because that's what's going to thrust us forward.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the future of the planet as well, literally, like
Literally,
with climate
yes.
change and everything. So, yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. And you're currently a TV presenter and you present your own science TV show. Do you want to just talk about how you got into that role and like what your career looked like? Because a lot of our followers and stuff are like interested in going into STEM as a career. So I think it would
Mm.
be interesting to understand like that kind of angle of how you progressed to where you are.
Totally. I mean, it was definitely not a straight path. There was no roadmap that I had 10 years ago. When I wanted to enter the field and wanted to become a STEM, TV show presenter, the reason why I chose that was because it seemed like at the time it was the broadest platform to reach a lot of people. And what's interesting about that is that back in 2008, 2010, that was the beginning really of that huge tech bubble that has been growing and growing ever since, where we see platforms like Instagram and YouTube and everything blowing up as a form of communication. And so at the time, I thought traditional TV broadcasting made sense, and that's what I pursued, because I thought of someone, one particular person that I know a lot of you probably know of, Bill Nye the Science Guy. He was my main inspiration, because I remember watching him as a kid on television, racing home after school to go watch his show, and still watching episodes to this day. It's like his enthusiasm and excitement for science was what hooked me and made me want to learn more. And so I wanted to play a similar role like that, because I had never seen a Black woman who looked like me doing just that. It's always been the stereotypical image of a white male in a lab coat that has been perpetuated as who can be in science and STEM, which is totally not true. And STEM is very diverse. There are so many different individuals who are contributing, and all from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life. And I just wanted to find a way in order to like elevate those stories. And so in 2016, after again going down this really windy path, I had worked for a textbook company with a team called Untamed Science, which I absolutely love. We were making videos for science books here in the US. And I worked with them for like 3 years. They taught me everything that I know, because I had to learn behind the camera, in front of the camera. They taught me how to write scripts, and we were editing and like all of that. But by 2016, I was like, okay, what's the next natural progression? Well, it would be to be on national television here in the US. And so I had the opportunity to host Exploration Nature Knows Best, which is a show that was syndicated on Fox here in the States. And it's also still available on Amazon Prime. And so it was all a result of putting videos up on YouTube, because the showrunner, Stephanie, who I absolutely adore, she found my videos online just from a random Google search and ended up reaching out to me and said, hey, we have a new concept. We think this might be a good fit for you. Would you like to audition? And the rest is history. So it was really the core message there. If anyone watching is actually interested in trying to do something like this, it's all about content. Content is king now more than ever. So if you want to do it, just start doing it. Don't wait for someone to tell you that you need to do this or you need to find a big crew. No, start a YouTube channel, start doing IG lives, start doing an IGTV series. Anything that you can do on your phone, just start where you are and start putting content into the world, because you never know who's actually going to see it. So just go for it.
Yeah, and phones are so like everyone has a phone these days, and phone cameras are so much better than they used to be as well. You can create
Oh
so
my
much
gosh.
content.
I was looking, I did like, I've been cleaning out, like obviously being home a lot, like you have time. So I've been cleaning out a bunch of stuff, and I just found my phone from 2012. And I was like, this can't be real. This can't be real. It was a little like brick And I don't even know how I had that phone at that time, but I did. And it was a touch screen, but it was literally this big. And I still
Yeah.
have it. It's just like a relic. And I'm like, wow, look how far we've come.
Mm. Even just like technology with like cameras and stuff, they've come on so far. Like I
Yes.
looked back at like when I first started diving and like I learned to dive when I was 13, so it's a while ago, and
Mm,
trying to like take photos using like at the time what was like pretty like high tech, just point
yes.
and shoot ones because it was waterproof and it was a camera, and that
Like an
alone was
Olympus.
yeah, exactly. And that alone, like just having a waterproof camera was like, and I looked back at photos and I was like, oh no, they are not usable for
No,
anything ever.
nope. Nope.
But now everything's come on so much. So yeah, content's a lot easier to create these days, and share with the world as well. So everyone's
Mhm.
within reach these days. So yeah, good advice. Um, do you want to just tell us about your actual role with the TV show and like what your job is with your science TV show?
Sure. I'm the host of Exploration Nature Knows Best. So I'm the person who introduces the topic in each episode with like a stand up. And then I go and interview different STEM professionals about the topic. And that show was specifically about biomimicry. So looking at how nature is inspiring new technologies and designs. And it's like inherently about sustainability because if we take notes from nature, nature knows how to make things like it's the planet has had billions of years of research and development. I mean, nature's got it
Yeah,
down pat. It's just us that are behind and we haven't been paying enough attention to the solutions that nature already creates. And so that's what that show was about. But most recently, I worked as a correspondent on season 1 of CBS Mission Unstoppable, which was a show about women in STEM. So we went and
oh,
profiled different
cool.
women in different jobs. And it was definitely about the science, but what I loved about the show was that we got to tap into a little bit of their journey as well just to give more young women and young men inspiration about how they achieve their goals and how they got to where they are, which I think is a very essential part of the story. Because for me, like me as an example, like I had no roadmap, I had no idea how to get into this, but now that's totally changed. Science communications has become a legitimate field of work, which I'm very excited about. And there are so many different people out in the world right now that are doing an amazing job of science communication, whether it's on their social media platforms or on television.
Yeah, and science communication is so important because scientists
Yeah.
historically have not been amazing at communicating what's going on. So being able to communicate it in an efficient way that like engages people and keeps people interested and can explain stuff is so important to actually creating change and making the changes that need to be made. Like for instance, with climate change and sustainability and making those really important changes that everyone has to make to
Yeah.
be able
It's
to continue living on this planet.
for real. Yes, yes. And it's tough, it's for scientists. I know like traditional hardcore scientists who are doing research every day, publishing papers. I mean, they don't have time to really
Mm,
invest into science communications and reaching out to the rest of the world. But that's where science communicators come in. And those people like myself who have a foundational knowledge of science and can kind of grasp concepts and then be able to explain them, we act as a bridge. So we're there to support scientists. We're there to support the general public. But the bigger and greater understanding that we have within the general public about science and the way things work, that will empower people to make um, just logical decisions and not solely relying on emotion all the time, but looking at the facts and the data and then being able to make an intelligent choice. And that's really what I'm focused on now because it's like we need to do that and we need to make sure that this next generation of young people are fully equipped in that way so that we don't have to deal with things that we've been dealing with in the last 4 years.
yeah, I do feel like the next generation is definitely like keen to like the talk. Like I do talks. Well, pre-COVID, I was doing talks to like youngsters, like 10, 11-year olds,
Hmm.
and all the youngsters are so like on it. They're just like really into it. Like
Yes.
they want to know everything. They've got a thirst for knowledge. They know all of these because they've grown up with it, right? Like I think we were the generation where we did grow up with it in our teenage years and stuff, but it was less. There wasn't so much rhetoric around like climate change and stuff, and now it's really becoming like much more mainstream to talk about it and to be taught about it in schools as well.
Yes.
And so I feel like youngsters are more aware of it from a younger age, and hopefully that will lead to more change and moving towards a more sustainable future.
Yeah, they're
But that's
absolutely
true.
the most informed generation of in human history. I mean, come on, they have the world at their fingertips on the internet, and so they can access so much information, way more than we could have when we were younger. And also, I think that they are willing to make changes in their lives and their behaviors. Obviously, when you're younger, it's just easier because you can form and mold and shape the way that you want to live much faster than older folks who are stuck in their ways. So I definitely lean lean heavily on the next generation of environmental leaders that are on the rise and have been speaking up recently, because they're truly like the light, like leading us forward. So I'm super excited about what they're going to create and what life will look like 10 to 20 years from now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Super exciting. Um, and someone asked about your organization, Big Blue and You, and what it
Yes.
does and like how it came about.
Sure. So 2008, right around the same time when I started working with Untamed Science, I co-founded this nonprofit actually with my mom, who,
Very
is
cool.
my life. She's like my life partner. Like, she's a lot of business acumen. She's an event producer in Miami. And so we combined our forces because we both were very passionate about the ocean, about animals, and especially about young people and empowering our community. So we created this nonprofit to just start reaching out and talking to especially to the kids who lived 5, 10 miles away from the beach and had never gone. And whether it was because their parents had never taken them or they couldn't swim, there were all these different obstacles for so many children in our community. And so we wanted to just break that down and introduce them to the ocean. So we started producing an event back in 2011 called Art by the Sea, or Artsy, and it was a festival. And it still is. We can't wait till we can do it again in person after, post COVID. But it was a
Mm.
festival celebrating the ocean. And so we would bus hundreds. The last time we did it was 2018. We had over 2,000 people attend, busing
Wow.
kids in from all over our community, and they would arrive on a Saturday, and then they'd get to meet our partners. And so we worked with local university, my alma mater, University of Miami. They had a group called Ocean Kids, and they would produce these marine science hands-on activities. So we'd put a scientist, and then we link them with a local artist. And the artist would create another hands-on activity that had the same theme that the scientist was covering. So whether it was coral bleaching, shark finning, ocean acidification, they would both work in tandem in order to deliver that message. And
Mm.
it was never meant to be one of those events where, normally a lot of environmental orgs, unfortunately, the presentation of that information is so depressing, and you're just like, oh my
Yeah.
god, the world's over, I'm not going to be able to fix anything, and apathy is real. But our tactic was always to make it fun and to make it accessible. And so by doing that and creating this space where it was full of just art and visuals and color and music, like we wanted it to be a positive first experience for many of the children who attended the event, so that they would always remember that day and think back like, I love the ocean so much and I want to protect it. And that's really the heart and soul of what the event's about. And so, yeah, we've produced it for 7 years, and we've taken it to a couple of different places. We did a mini one in St. Croix last year in the U.S. Virgin Islands. We also did, we've done all kinds of iterations of it. But my dream is to be able to get enough funding to take this event to different cities around the world, and to be able to create that communication between the local artists, the local scientists, the children, the parents, and bring everybody together in a space where we know this waterfront that we have, whether it be the ocean or a lake or a river, is precious, and we have to protect it. So that's really the heart and soul of what we do.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And it's such a
Thank
fine
you.
balance as well. Like obviously it's so inspiring like for the kids as well to like get involved in all of that stuff. And I imagine you're working to inspire like future generations to like basically harness that passion and do something to protect the oceans and
Yes.
hopefully get more environmentalists because we need more environmentalists and more conservationists in the world always. But it's such a
Yeah.
fine balance, like what you said about like it kind of being a bit depressing with environmental news a lot of the time. It is so true, like you can kind of get into a bit of a rut when it's always negative. So it's finding that fine balance where you're trying to like inspire people and be like, it's not too late, we can still do stuff, but also being
Yeah.
real about like the issues that the world faces. So I imagine it's pretty
Exactly.
tricky to like balance that,
Yes.
so that kids are having a great time, but also understanding the gravity of it.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it is a delicate balance. But the thing with working with kids is that they always make it fun and they bring you back as an adult to being present in the moment and enjoying what is in front of you. So like that's what I love about the event. I have so much fun. I mean, it's stressful because, you know, producing events is very hard. But once
Especially on
I'm
that
able to
scale.
like, yeah, and then to be able to release and at the end of the day and just seeing all the smiles on their faces and just, oh God, it makes me want to cry when I think about it because um so many children around the world have to deal with so many hard situations, you know, in their own personal lives. And just to have that moment of release, to be outside, to be in the sunshine, to be by the water, like, it's really gratifying. That's honestly like why I do what I do, and it's the most fulfilling thing.
Yeah, it's great seeing like the kids kind of progress as well into that kind of passion for the ocean and the environment. So cool. We've had a couple of questions, so I'm just going to open the question box.
Yeah, let's do it.
Um,
Hi,
we
everybody. I see a few
actually,
people that I know in the chat. What's up, Jocelyn? I see ITEF. How's it going? How's it going? Yes.
someone actually asked this anyways. It was a question that we had later on in the list of questions. What's your favorite
Mm.
place that you've ever been?
Oh my gosh, this is the hardest question because I am a travel addict. This whole year of not being able to do like all the international
Mm.
trips that I normally do, it's like it's been really hard. But um, my favorite place to travel, honestly, where did I love Mexico. That's one of my favorite places to go. On both coasts, on the Caribbean side and on the Pacific side, because the biodiversity there is amazing and the terrain is fabulous. Lots of
Mm.
sunshine, obviously, and then the people. Mexican people are so wonderful, and the culture. I love everything about it. My family's from Jamaica, so I am a little biased. I do love going to the islands. But when it comes to like relating to other cultures, I just love being exposed to different things, whether it's Latino culture or also went to Ghana last year. So like it's so hard for me to choose where I love the most. But I hope to see as many countries as possible before I leave this planet.
Yeah, well, you can come to Mozambique, and then that'll be your favorite.
Oh, Mozambique is absolutely on my list. It's been on my list for a long time, so I
Okay,
definitely want to make it there.
good. Definitely. Well, if you come this way, you've got to come and visit us.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, there were actually a couple of books. Actually, they were coming up later anyways. So I will continue with the list that we have. But if people do have
Cool.
questions, feel free to drop them in the box. Um, so someone said, out of everything in STEM, because obviously STEM, as we were saying, is so broad, and I'm not a
Mhm.
particularly big fan of maths either, but you have to do it
But you got to
sometimes.
do it.
um, but out of everything in STEM, why did you choose to study marine science when it came to university?
Oh, it was a natural fit. Like when I was, you know, not every kid has that moment where they're like, this is what I want to do, and they actually stick with it. It's usually like, I want to do this, which is great. But I was one of those kids that was just super determined and was like, I'm gonna be a marine biologist, and that's what I wanted to study. And that's where it began when I was 6 years old. And then I remember like in middle school when I was around 13, I drove by the graduate school of University of Miami, which is on an island in Miami called Virginia Key, and I was like, I gotta go there. And like, it was just like a vision. And so, thanks to my mom, my parents, my dad too, my family, you know, they didn't understand why exactly I wanted to study marine biology, but they accepted it and they wanted to help me get there. So through like different experiences at summer camps and, you know, things after school, I ended up going to a high school in like a little bit further north of Miami that had an amazing program, a magnet program focused on marine science. So I spent four
Oh,
years in high
wow.
school helping with research, getting this
Oh,
like
jealous.
preliminary scope. Yeah, it's South Broward High, and they have the magnet program has been there for a very long time,
Mm.
and I just had the most wonderful experience there. And then once I started at uni, it was like, okay, this makes sense. It was hella hard, but it affirmed the idea that I definitely wanted to be a communicator after that because I saw, you know, having worked with graduate students and PhD candidates and seeing their process, I was like, I'm not sure if I'm quite ready for that, if I want to enter that culture, because I felt a little bit inhibited. But at the same time, it was like, I see this opening, this gap, this need for people who have this understanding and are willing to go out and reach people and bring them in and make them interested in this topic. And so that's really where it all led. But yeah, marine biology, I mean, marine life is just mesmerizing. I love scuba diving. I love snorkeling, paddleboarding, anything that gets me on the ocean, I'm there. So the idea of studying life in the ocean is just, it's the best thing in the world. And I don't plan on ever stopping. Like, I consider myself a lifelong student. I'm going to continue to learn and read scientific papers and meet scientists and marine scientists and learn from them. And that's what's going to happen, yeah, for the rest of my life.
Out of interest, how many times, because I know, like, so I was quite similar. Like, I knew I wanted to be a marine biologist when I was 8, and then that was just it.
Yeah.
Which I know is not that common, but I did have quite a few comments when I was at uni and when I graduated from uni, like, when are you going to get a real job? Because marine biology is a bit of a tangent from
Right.
like your classic, like your office job kind of thing. Did you get a lot of that, or were people quite accepting?
Oh my gosh, a ton of it. People would look at me cross-eyed whenever I tell them as a kid. I'd be like, I gotta be a marine biologist. Like, what? Like, why? And the actual most common response was, you're never gonna make any money. And I'm like, okay. And that definitely was something to consider, because obviously you want to supply, maintain yourself and have a good life and be able to get the things you need, obviously. But for me, it was, the passion was really overriding that notion. And I'm grateful because I've been blessed so much with opportunities in order to sustain myself and make money and still do what I love. I consider that like a huge privilege, because I know majority of people out there have not chosen that path. They haven't chosen the path of their passion, but they went with the idea of making enough money to support, let's say, a family. And that totally is logical and makes sense. But I honestly believe that if more people decided to seek out exactly what they truly are passionate about, like in their heart of hearts, what is it that calls them? What is it that makes them feel alive? What is it that makes them go into that flow state where things, just everything else tunes out and you're focused and you feel happy? If we do that, if more people decided to follow that track, we would supply, I think, all of our needs in the world. I think we would have an even more beautiful society, because we would see everyone serving in their purpose and contributing to everyone else through their gifts and talents. And it's like, oh, can you imagine a world like that? Like,
it would be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be a lot more positive as well.
Yeah, it's happier. The quality of life would be different, and we wouldn't let capitalism run our world. And I'm interested in seeing a shift happen in that way.
Yeah.
That we can move away from this idea that money is the driving force for everything, and it just isn't. It's just a thing that we created, that we use for exchanges. But what is life really about? It's about being present. It's about being here. It's about being passionate and living the life that you dreamed of.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So true. It's such a tricky balance to balance between the I need to eat and I want to follow my passion.
Yeah, no, it's a real thing. That's why I said it's
Yeah.
a privilege to be able to follow your passion in this day and age right now, in this moment. And it takes a lot of hard work and ingenuity to do that too, because you got to figure things out. Like, I spent so much time in my life being brokety broke. And it was hard. There was nothing easy about that. But somehow, if you're driven, if you have a goal in mind, like, just keep pushing forward to that and make a way.
Yeah, eventually you get there. I feel like being a student for me was good preparation for running a charity. Like, just being stingy the whole time, counting every penny. So it wasn't really a major transition for me to run a charity. I was like, I just can't spend any money. So it's good prep.
Yes.
But someone's asked, what's the coolest thing that you've ever seen underwater? Or in the ocean?
In the ocean. Well, my dream is to free dive with a pod of orcas. I know it's cliche. Everybody loves killer whales. I do too, very much so. Haven't done that yet. Hopefully one day it will happen. But I think the coolest thing that I've ever experienced underwater was absolutely like diving with giant manta rays. And I reference this story all the time because it was just that special. Like, I've never experienced an interaction or encounter with a marine animal like that ever. The manta like looked at me, hung
Where
out.
was that?
That was off the coast of Ecuador. So in this really cold, temperate, ecosystem where the water was like super green, like pea soup, and the current was horrible. Like it was basically drift diving, and we would like hold on to the rocks and like whatever. But the mantas were there, and they were feeding, and they were massive. And yeah, we got to hang out with them for like 7 days, and it was just magic.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We do have mantas here, but there's less mantas than there used to be. But we have so many humpback whales. It's unreal. I spent like most of lockdown because I had the option of like attempting to go back to the UK, but we were still running some projects out here, and we had some like our sustainable fishing project that I was working on with our community outreach manager. So I wanted to stay out here, and also like I was able to take out the paddleboard and like sit with the whales for like 2 hours every day if I wanted to. Like it's nuts. Like the whales here are. I've never been anywhere like it. Like it because we're really rural, right? So there's like no
boat traffic.
Like no boat traffic. So you're the only people on the water. So if you paddle out, like you just don't see anyone else. And there's like where our bay is, it's like if you paddle out to the point, then it's like almost like a highway, and the whales just go back and forth. So you can just sit there on your paddleboard, and because it's non-motorized, they're not scared. So they come right up, and especially the babies. Occasionally the babies come a bit closer. I'm like, okay, don't breach on me, please. I'm gonna back up now. Yeah, humpback whales. They're probably my animal that are just mind blowing. Like mantas. We do have mantas here, but the numbers have unfortunately declined like rapidly, like by over 80% in the last, I think it was 6 years or something.
Really?
Yeah, really, really dropped. We've got some further south in Zavra. That's like probably the biggest aggregation that I know of in Mozambique. But yeah, where we are, unfortunately, numbers have dropped. We're actually starting a project next year. Hopefully, if we get funding, we're applying for a grant at the moment to try and discover some more manta cleaning stations, because I think that the reason that we're seeing less mantas is because of irresponsible diving practices, and causing like the cleaning station, the wrasse and stuff to leave the cleaning stations, the coral dies, and then the mantas move off, because humans have swum through the cleaning stations on dives too much and scared everything off.
Got it.
Because like the mantas can just move like 20 meters deeper, and you're not going to see them. Like,
right. Like
that's the thing with the ocean. There is so much that is like, it's like the biggest game of hide and seek that you've ever had.
Exactly. The mantas are like, oh, okay, bye, see ya.
Yeah, exactly.
Done.
And then you just can't see them. So yeah, I mean, hopefully, like if you get out here, then I'll take you paddling with the humpback.
Listen. If sign still delivered, I'm coming to Mozambique. I mean, the humpback whale story you just told is definitely huge motivation to come out there. That sounds amazing.
It's pretty spectacular. One of my friends actually last year, I think the drone footage is somewhere. One of my friends last year, one of the humpbacks came like belly up underneath her sup, like her stand-up paddleboard. So
yeah,
it had a pectoral fin on each side out of the water,
just like
of her,
hugging her.
And she was just stood there. Yeah, she just stood there like with her blade on her board, like, ooh, not gonna move. I'm not gonna move. I'm not gonna move.
Oh my gosh, that's a dream. Are you kidding me? Oh,
totally nuts. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, got distracted by whales. Back to the questions. Okay, someone said, okay, we already did the favorite country. So historically, STEM has been quite male-dominated and not very diverse. Have you experienced much prejudice in STEM or in the television world?
Yes, absolutely. It's not necessarily that major things have happened. It's more about microaggressions, and even the term microaggression I don't like, because it may seem small, but when the person who's receiving it deals with that, it's a big deal. So yeah, everything from just like being doubted, questioning my intelligence, saying things like, just basically saying that I'm not capable, and those types of comments over the years are just debilitating, number one. But yeah, I've had to find a way to just overcome that and prove them wrong and use it as fuel and just say, no, I am going to do this and I can do this. Okay. Fully capable. So that's been the hardest part. And having this little notch on my belt as the first, Black woman to host an American science show. It's crazy to think about because that happened in 2016, and it's like, why did it take so long? Like, folks over on the other side of the pond in the UK, like, y'all have had women of color hosting natural history shows and things for the longest time, but in the US we've been really, really behind. So I'm proud of that fact, but I'm also like, I cringe at it because I'm like, dang, yeah, really, this country is, we need to move forward with, how we represent people in certain spaces that are not traditionally seen there. And so that's why I'm so adamant about creating space for more women of color, for more people who have just different identities to be included. Because that's what it's about. It's about inclusivity and opportunity, but also tolerance and understanding. And it's a challenge. It's an uphill battle, but I'm willing to fight, and I want to continue to do that so we can make sure that the doors are wide open for everyone in the coming years.
Yeah, it's crazy how like whitewash STEM and conservation actually generally and charity work is. Like I was talking to our community, I was telling our community outreach manager about you, and
Oh,
he's black, and I was saying like, oh, she's the first like black woman presenting a science program in America, and he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's crazy that it's taken this long for that to happen.
seriously.
So it's kind of nuts, but like, yeah, I mean, at least things are beginning to change now, but it needs to change quicker.
It really
um,
does. I mean, but this
yeah,
year has definitely served as a great turning point. We're at the beginning again of this new chapter where we can have better conversations about racial injustice and the way that people of color have been treated historically.
yeah,
It has to stop. This. It doesn't make any sense. It's like the most illogical thing I've heard of, like judging someone based on the melanin in their skin. Like that's ridiculous. So yeah, and it's also about opportunity, like I mentioned before, but also investment. So I always try to, reiterate the fact that we need more people who do have the resources, whether it be grant funding or sponsorships, or want to fund a new television show or a show for Netflix that's featuring someone, a person of color. Like, do it. Don't waste any time. Invest the money that you have, the access that you have, and create that opportunity for someone else. That's what it really takes, because so many people who want to do this work aren't able to because they're limited by their financial restrictions or other challenges that are in their personal life. So how do you help someone overcome that? Like, open the door,
yeah.
and figure out new ways to support those who should be in the room.
100%. We're hoping to, because we take volunteers and on our programs in Mozambique, and they're usually like international people that come from all over the world and stuff. And we are working. Hopefully, we'll be able to do it soon, but it's all money dependent. To introduce a BIPOC scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
So to try and diversify conservation a bit more, because it is just so, yeah, I mean, it's so whitewashed, and it's so important that there's more representation throughout STEM generally, well, actually throughout all industries, but
Mm-hmm.
within what we work in, within conservation, it's so important.
It
So
is.
yeah, 100%,
One
100%.
one note I would make about that too is, as far as like the conservation world is concerned, I think it's important for organizations to be cognizant of this idea of the white savior effect, and that they're not going into these communities and places where
Yeah,
it's predominantly, Black or, people of color, indigenous communities. Don't go in there acting like you have all the answers, saying we're here to fix everything. Like, mm-mm.
yeah,
You got to let the people who are from there, who live there, who are leading the way, who know that land the best, let them lead the way, and just be
yeah,
there to support.
100%. Could not agree more. We actually do a whole lecture on the white savior complex with all of our international people that come through,
Oh,
because
that's awesome.
there's a lot of like preconceived ideas. I think like growing up in developed countries, people are drip fed ideas about what Africa should be, which
Right.
is obviously completely different to what it actually is.
Yeah.
And like we work, so our project is community led. And like exactly what you said, like I'm English, like you can hear from me talking, because you can see that I'm not black. And I'm never going to know anywhere near the amount of knowledge about the environment that we work in as the people that live there and have grown up there, and their parents have been there, their grandparents. Like there's so
Yes, for
much gold
generations.
mine of knowledge. Like it is so much
Yes.
knowledge. Um, and it's so important to recognize that. Like we're doing a project with the fishermen at the moment, sustainable fishing project, And part of that is utilizing that local knowledge, because it is just so important to be able to understand, especially in areas where there's no previous research as well. Like, that is the data. Like, it's so important to understand that and then roll that into sustainable measures and stuff. So like the project that we're running with the fishermen, because there's a netting problem, as nets are like so bad all over the world, obviously, because they're so unselective, and obviously our bay is no different, but people are using nets because there isn't anything else. Like, there's no other resources. COVID has meant there's no tourism in Mozambique's dropped by like over 95%, so it's literally like people don't have the option. And if I was in the same situation, I would be doing the same. Like,
you got to feed your family.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no other options. So the Sustainable Fishing Project is us using our like charity status to secure equipment that is like using our research as well. So our research over the last 6 years has been like coral reefs and fisheries are the 2 data sets we're using for this project. The coral reef data obviously shows what's going on in like with the living animals, and the fisheries data is showing us what's happening with the animals being taken out. And those 2 data sets have shown us that the kayak fishing is the most sustainable in terms of the types of fish it catches. So being able to secure like kayak equipment and like the rods and the reels and all of that kind of stuff, and then the fishermen being able to use that, like, instead of the netting, and they give up their netting in exchange for the kayaks, it solves everyone's problems. People can still eat, they can still feed their families, it's then sustainable, you eliminate net use, like, and that's kind of what I feel very strongly that all NGOs should be working to create a solution for everyone, because unfortunately, like, throughout Africa, there is so much of the white savior complex and people coming in and just thinking that they know best because of, well, basically colonialism.
That's what it is.
Stems back to that. So it's just so important that people like appreciate local knowledge and utilize it, because it is just, and are aware of also the cultural differences and not imposing and assuming. Like, our like favorite phrase in our team is to assume makes an ass out of you and me, which is my mum used to say it to me when I was a kid, but it's so true. So yeah, it's always important to like get the full picture and make sure that things are led by the local community, otherwise it's completely pointless.
Right, exactly. I see a comment down there, sea turtle biologist. Is that Christine? Yes, it is. Oh my gosh, you changed your handle. Anyway, I love it. So she says, I have to say that for some reason, women are a lot better at recognizing and acknowledging local knowledge than a lot of white men I've been working with in the past. So true. Yeah. No, neocolonialism is not the way. And we have to overcome that. For those of you who don't know Christine, do you know Christine, by the way?
I think
Christine Figener?
Yeah, I don't know her personally, but I definitely know her through Instagram, which is a terrible thing to say.
No, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. It's a mode of communication. But Christine is absolutely one of studies sea turtles, primarily in Costa Rica. And I think the internet is tapping out. Uh-oh. Anyway, for those of you who are watching still, I just want to say, just shout out Christine real quick. Of course, she gained a lot of notoriety because of the video that she posted on YouTube that went viral, showing the plastic straw that was lodged inside the nostril of a sea turtle that her and her team were able to pull out. It was excruciating to watch, but it was definitely something that we needed, the world needed to see, because it showed the impacts of single-use plastic and how they're just impacting marine life in so many negative ways, unnecessary ways, and that it sparked this really major conversation. So anyway, Christine, I love you. It's great to see you here. I think, our friends over there, they are frozen. I wonder if that is the internet in Mozambique might be tapping out, y'all.
Danni?
So I'm probably going to sign off. Wow, we've been on here for 45 minutes.
Right.
What? Okay.
So I think
I see you guys can hear me. Can you hear both of us or just me?
I don't know if you can hear me, Danni, but I'm gonna end this live and then restart it.
Okay, so it's just on my end then.
Because for some reason,
well, maybe I'll just sign off and try to come back in.
It's probably my
All
internet,
right, I'll do that.
so I
All right,
will
peace out, you guys.
restart this live. So if everyone wants to just join again, then we can restart. Now we'll wait for Danny to rejoin. Maybe it'll reset if she rejoins. Otherwise, I have to restart this live. There you go. Hopefully, otherwise it's our Instagram. Sometimes.
Hello.
Hey, yay. Okay, sorry, I have no idea what happened there. I think it was my internet.
Neither do I. You were frozen and then I was just talking, but everyone said that they can hear both of us. So here we
Yeah,
are.
same. I was like, I can't hear you.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were just talking about turtles, weren't we? Yeah, we just got to turtles.
Yes. Did you hear my
Uh,
bit about Christine? Were you able to
no, I
hear all
didn't.
that?
That's
No.
when you froze.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, just quick synopsis. Christine went viral with the video that she shared on YouTube of the sea turtle with the plastic straw
Yeah.
lodged in its nostril. So, anywho, that's the little tidbit about Christine, but there's so much more about her. She's an amazing scientist, studies the olive ridley sea turtles down in Costa Rica and watches and observes the arrivada, which is called the arrival, which happens only in a few select places around the world where olive ridleys do it mass nesting.
Yeah, I've seen photos of that. That's definitely on my bucket list.
Oh my gosh, I had the chance to see it 2 years ago. I went based on Christine's recommendations. I went down with a crew and we were shooting a pilot for another show, and we happened to get there and we made it just in time. We had, I think, like 2 days left on the itinerary, and we were like, please, because you never know when it's going to happen. There's no calendar, there's no time. They just come when they're ready. And we ended up seeing it, and it was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my entire life. Tens of thousands of turtles just coming up, like nesting, like focused, and yeah, so it's super wild.
That's so cool. We have leatherbacks and loggerheads that nest on our beaches, but it's nowhere near the numbers. Like I'd love to see like the numbers that Costa gets. Like because we have leatherbacks are critically endangered in our area, so like one step away from extinction. And then we have loggerheads that nest, but we probably only get like, well, so this year's the first year that we've ever done research like properly on the turtles in our area nesting, which is really exciting because we just haven't had the funds previously to be able to employ people like throughout turtle season as well, which is November to March for us. And then this year we were just like, you know what, let's just do it. And we've got our turtle patrol team, and two of them, like, it's actually really cool. Like two of the guys are so we have like a swimming program where we teach people to swim, because like we do a little bit about like what you said earlier with like barriers standing in people's way of living more sustainably or learning about the ocean. So swimming is a large part of that for us. Like around 95% of people in our area can't swim. So introducing swimming is such an important part, obviously, of like getting people passionate about the ocean and being able to engage with it. So we teach beginner, intermediate, advanced classes. When the kids get to advanced, we offer them the opportunity to become what we call an ocean conservation champion, an OCC. And then from that, we offer them sponsorship for like different qualifications, like whatever qualifications they want to do, like English, diving, like surfing, swimming, whatever. And two of the guys, they started with us. It must have been about 5 years ago now. They started swimming. They couldn't swim before, and now they're going to be doing their swimming instructors next year. But they're also part of the turtle patrol team, and they're doing their diving next year as well, which is like so cool.
That's like wow. Yeah, they totally empowered, and
it's like the whole like seeing the next generation gives me such a buzz. Like they're 18 now. Like they were younger obviously when we started working with them, but seeing like the kids progress, it's just like, yeah, so rewarding. So it's really lovely.
Wow. And then you guys get to see leatherbacks, which is the largest species of all 7 sea turtles, like size of a Volkswagen Beetle. Huge.
Yeah. But then I've never actually seen a leatherback myself here.
Oh wow.
We've had nests, but I haven't been here during that time. Like I always miss the good stuff. I think I've got like bad juju when it comes to this kind of stuff. But I always miss the leatherbacks, and I've never actually seen one at sea either, even though the fishermen have all seen them, and like
Mm,
I've seen like a shitload of whale sharks, but I never get to see the leatherbacks, which is a shame because they're like probably one of my bucket list species at the moment.
definitely. I'm sure your time will come at some point.
Fingers
You
crossed.
know, come on.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Then someone asked, what has been your most uplifting experience working in STEM as a woman?
Interesting question. By the way, Christine says you should come to Costa Rica to see some leatherbacks because they have hawksbills,
Yeah,
leatherbacks. Yes.
I am
Sounds like a
totally
group trip
down
to
with
me.
that.
I want to go
Yeah,
too.
100%.
Yes. I think, wow, you said empowering or what was the word?
Uplifting, but I mean, like, yeah,
Uplifting. Honestly, it's been just working with young people, working with kids, and seeing their curiosity kind of evolve and expand. And through my work with Big Blue and You, but also through the television programs. Like 2 years ago, I was at the USA Science and Engineering Festival in Washington D.C., which is the largest STEM festival basically in the U.S. and in the world right now. At this point, over 350,000 people came to this festival over the course of 2 or 3 days. Like it was insane. And I got to be the spokesperson. So then we did a couple of presentations, and I just remember being like at the little meet and greet thing after my presentation and getting to take pictures with these young people that had just watched me on stage, and just like the look on their faces and the way that they were just so excited. And they told me like, I can't wait, like I want to be a scientist, and like just the energy that they have, like that fuels me and makes me feel so good. And I can't, I don't know, it's just hard to describe the exact feeling, but when I think about it, I get goosebumps. And I know, like I said earlier, this next generation, they are the light. They are going to help us move forward as in, within humanity, and like, and protect our planet. Like they're going to be the ones to do it. So that just makes me so happy and keeps pushing me forward.
yeah, they're the change makers.
Yes.
They're going to be the big change. Okay, cool. Someone's asked what your favorite part of your job is and your least favorite part, just to balance it out.
Great question. My favorite part of the job, traveling. I love being able to travel to new places. Whenever I'm like filming new segments, I get to meet a lot of really cool people, and I get to explore the like local community. Generally, my like shoots are pretty quick. Like we'll be there for 1 or 2 days, and so that doesn't give me too much time to explore that area or like wherever we are. But I try to at least get to like a local restaurant, try something new, and then see like a site of some sort that is famous in that place. The part that I least like about my job is email. I'm just like so tired of emails. And for me, it's literally the bane of my existence, trying to wrangle my inbox, because I'm constantly, which is great. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing and a curse, because I'm receiving a lot of inquiries and a lot of, emails and opportunity. But to keep up with that is so hard. So I literally spend, I'd say probably 6 to 7 hours a day on email, which sounds insane, but it's necessary. And I still don't feel like I have a good grasp on my inbox. Like,
Yeah.
anywho, that's really
Do you get
what I would
like,
say.
I get like anxiety if I have like, because I have my emails on my phone, which is probably a bad thing to do. But like, I can see the number going up through the day, and then I'm like, oh, I have so much to do. I get like
Yeah.
anxiety
Oh, it's
knowing that there's
complete
too many
anxiety for
tasks.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
But it's a
last
part of the
like 4
job.
days. Yeah, exactly. The last 4 days I've been going all around trying to sort stuff out before I go back to the UK, and I haven't been able to sit. I literally like have not sat at my laptop because I've been physically doing stuff all day. And
Yeah.
today was the first day that I sat down, and I opened my laptop and I was like, oh, there's so much to do. I don't know how I'm gonna get through it.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
then,
I'm gonna. I don't
especially in the COVID world, this is all we've got now to stay connected. And so it's even more important at this point. But yeah, there are different solutions. I know, I mean, my goal for 2021 is to be like at zero at my inbox so I can manage my emails each day. That's the dream and the goal. We'll see if it happens, but I'm going to definitely
Yeah,
try.
yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, cool. And then last question of the pre-submitted ones. I'm also aware that we're running out of time. But last question was, what would your advice be to young people looking at getting into STEM?
My biggest piece of advice for people, young people specifically getting into STEM and other STEM related fields, I would say is get as much experience as you can through internships and volunteering. That really changed my trajectory as a teenager because I told you earlier that I went to a special marine science magnet program all 4 years of high school. But within that experience, I also made time during the summer and on weekends to volunteer with like my local nature center, going out, leading beach cleanups and meeting other scientists that were, working on projects and giving my time so that I could see what I liked and what I didn't like about the field that I was interested in getting into. And it helped me decide quickly, to go into science communications because I understood that these are the skill sets that I had naturally. This is what I actually enjoy doing. And so how can I combine those two things and still work in the field that I've dreamed about, which, is marine science and ocean conservation. And yeah, it just helped. It's like a much quicker process of elimination. If you get more experience, you'll just learn faster what makes sense for you because everybody's different. Not everyone is built to be a traditional scientist. Not everyone is built to be a science communicator or a TV host. Like you got to discover that for yourself. Nobody else can do that for you.
Yeah, and there's so many areas within each one, right? Like we had one of our interns came out and he was like all whale obsessed and thought he loved whales, and then he like basically did the basic analysis and got bored and was like, nope. And now he's doing his master's on nudibranchs, which is like at the other end of from the biggest to the smallest, and he loves
Wow.
nudibranchs and he's all about nudibranchs, and like good job that you came and like actually worked that out before you like chose your master's, because otherwise
Exactly.
yeah would have been very
No,
different.
I love nudies too. I love them. I remember in during my time at I interned with a marine mammal veterinarian because during that point in my life I thought, well, that could be interesting. I could, work at different aquaria and different, places to learn more about whales and other cetaceans. And I went into my first necropsy with her and assisted, and I was like, I'm never doing this. Like I remember just watching because it was a beach, unfortunately, a beach bottlenose dolphin that we found locally. And so we did the necropsy to figure out why it died. This dolphin had been sitting on the beach for like a couple of days, roasting in the sun. And the smell, I could not, I will never forget the stench. And I was like, this is not for me. I'm not doing this. I don't want it. Yeah. So there's a great example of one moment where I was like, okay, yeah, I'm glad I had this experience, but I'm not built for this.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a sperm whale carcass that washed up on our beach. And just to give you an idea, the nearest migration route for sperm whales is Antarctica.
What?
So like, yeah, so it had been dead a while when it washed up on our shores. And like, as in, yeah, I won't go into too much detail. It was pretty gross, basically. And even like, we were driving to get there and the wind blew towards us, and I was probably a kilometer away, and I was eating my lunch, and I was like halfway through my lunch, and I was like,
nope,
never mind.
Nope.
I'm not hungry anymore. So totally appreciate rotting cetaceans is not a welcoming smell. So, totally understand where you're coming from. Okay, cool. So
in the chat though, I don't know if you saw
them. Yeah, there are. Should we try and answer them?
Yeah. In our last few minutes here. So I see there's one.
I've got some quick fire questions I want to go through with you as well. Just quickly.
Oh, the fire questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. So we can let's do the chat questions first and then the fire ones last.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
So someone's asked about your career. So if people are watching this now, this is going to go onto our IGTV afterwards, so you can rewatch. Danni talked about like how she got into what she does now earlier, so you can rewatch that then.
Totally. And then the other one is, what would be a good recommendation for seniors in college? Do you recommend applying for internships, looking for jobs, or grad school? Well, seniors in college, again, I think reiterating the fact that experience is everything. My personal recommendation would be to take a year off and actually go and get experience and get a job working with or in the specific realm that you want to work in, and then figure out if master's program or PhD program is good for you, or if you just want to go straight into the workforce. That's an option too. So I would say, that's the biggest piece of advice or recommendation I would give.
Yeah, and take every opportunity as it comes as well, because you never know where you're going to end up.
Exactly. So let's see, I think is, oh, and then I'm a senior double majoring in UCB. Okay, cool. And Mexican. Well, hey, thanks for being here. We appreciate you. But yeah, definitely watch the IGTV recording later because you'll see the other part where I talk about like the science communication and the things on my within my career, and hopefully it'll provide some advice for you too. Cool. Fire
Cool. Should
questions?
we? Yeah, let's do them.
Yay.
They're just quick
Okay.
answers, and they're just fun things that we do with every guest that we have, just to like get to know you a little bit better.
Love it.
Favorite ocean creature?
Favorite ocean creature? Orca.
Okay.
Hmm.
Favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Very good. Plastic-free or eco product that you can't live without?
Final Fork.
Oh,
It's
what?
a Final Fork. It's by the company. It's the company's name is Final. It was founded by my friend Emma, and it's a foldable fork that goes into a little case. I wish I had it in front of me right now, but it comes out and you open it up and the fork pops open and you can keep it in your bag or your backpack and take it wherever
Oh,
you go. So you don't
wow.
have to use plastic forks. Yes.
Yeah, I've been taking like I take a fork, like a actual fork with me in my backpack, which is not the most practical.
Oh my gosh. Wait, I think it
Yeah,
might be close by. I should grab it. Let me grab it. Hold on. Hold
yeah. Go for it.
on. Oop. Let me not drop things. Or is it? Maybe not. Okay. Maybe not. I thought it was in my backpack over there, but it's not. So anyway,
No
go to
worries.
Final.
It's
It's
all
just
good.
at Final Straw on Instagram. You'll see it there.
Okay, cool. Um, Favorite beach in the world?
Um, the Bahamas. Any of the beaches in the Bahamas are my favorite.
Good selection there. Last song you listened
Um, no guidance by Chris Brown.
to? Dolphins or sharks?
Oh, I don't like this question. I love both. I'm gonna go with dolphins.
Ooh. Dolphins are everyone's favorite. You gotta
I
go for
know
the underdogs.
they're so charismatic though. But I do love sharks. I mean, I have a huge poster of a great white on my wall in here in my room, so
Okay,
they're
good.
still my faves.
That makes it better. Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Good time of year as well.
Yeah, my
Um,
birthday is 5 days later, so it's a special time of year
oh,
for me.
nice.
So
Happy
it's my birthday
birthday in
month.
advance.
Thank you.
Um, would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to speak to animals?
Speak to animals for sure.
As a superpower, teleportation or breathing underwater?
Breathing underwater. Get rid of all of my scuba equipment. Yes.
Um, what book would you take with you onto a desert island?
I would take A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. It's one of my favorite books and super grounding, and it's just beautiful.
Nice. Um, what's the first thing you're going to do when things get back to normal?
First thing I'm gonna do will probably go on a liveaboard boat and go scuba diving for like 10 days. That would
Where
be
would you
my
go?
my dream. Well, the only time I've ever done that was actually in Papua New Guinea back in 2012, and that was
Nice.
the best dive experience I've ever had. And so I would like to go somewhere wild like that where there are not a lot of people, not a lot of boats, maybe. But actually, I have not been diving on the Great Barrier Reef yet, so I may do that first. That would be
Ooh.
probably the goal. Yeah, because I
You
definitely
could
want to
do a
see.
liveaboard on the Great Barrier Reef.
I believe so. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
definitely seen adverts and things
I
for
worked
them.
I worked for one out there. I can send
Oh,
you
you
the link.
did? Please.
It's
Any recommendations?
incredible. Yeah,
Okay, I'm
100%.
down.
100%. Why do you love the ocean?
That it's simple. I feel the most free when I'm in the ocean. Yeah.
Nice. Solid answer. Cool.
Mhm.
Well, that's all the questions, and I think we've got through all the ones in the chat as well. But for people watching, yeah, as I said, this will be on IGTV immediately afterwards, and then we're also going to cross-post it onto our YouTube at some point. I am a bit behind on posting on YouTube, but I will get there. And if you've got any questions after this, then you can shoot us or you can shoot Danny a message. You all right with that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Um,
I'm on all platforms. Danny
yeah,
Washington.
cool. And we'll do our best to get back to you. But
For
thank you
sure.
so much for joining and chatting. It's been so not lovely talking to you, and hopefully you'll be able to come out to Mozambique sometime soon.
I really hope so. Let's set the intention, no doubt. We got to meet in person, go diving.
For sure. 100%. 100%.
Love
Cool.
it.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you so much and have a great afternoon.
Thank you too, and sending love to everybody who watched. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
thanks
appreciate
everyone
your
for tuning
support
in.
for sure. All right. Bye,
Awesome.
everybody. See
Cool.
you.
Bye.